Welcome back. Coffee time with Tank LIPP. And we're going to call this segment Coffee Time Goes Bananas. So I want to use this opportunity to be like my filter so that the craziness doesn't consume me. Now, as a man with mental illness, I see a psychiatrist who does like psychotherapy with me, administers like the appropriate meds so that I can go back to like my regular life and not be consumed with like all the craziness that goes through my head. And now sometimes that's not enough because that could be like a once a week thing that I'm meeting with this individual. So, and the illness is really a constant 24/7 thing. And I would love if this blog and like the example I'm setting where like you could just put on a camera and like video blog about like your crazy shit. Maybe just keep it on your computer. You don't have to be as outlandish as I am and like post it on YouTube for the whole world to like witness your craziness and like how crazy you are. Because that can make a spectacle of things. And maybe that's why I've got so many muddy situations. Maybe like wearing my heart on my sleeve and like never having the appropriate filters of like what you can say to certain individuals that maybe don't necessarily have that capacity to understand and have empathy. They understand and then they just cast judgment upon you. And then, the new struggles and conflicts emerge between you and those people. Or maybe they just shun you and walk away, and then your conflict is with yourself. Like, what went wrong in that relationship? And you're just being yourself, but it was too much for them. And that's kind of like a situation of like the story of my life and relationships. And I think of, wow, there have been so many. And like now it's so lonely. So maybe like I was too much to handle, and like you get real depressed thinking like I was just being myself. I was being my authentic self all along. I mean, for the most part, quirky, yes, a quirky individual. And like why was it so quirky that like people had to push away, or in certain instances me push away? So if there's one thing you can get out of this blog, now I don't know if the camera's going to chop off and I'm going to have to do a part 2 of this one, but for all practical purposes, if this stands as one blog, like the example I would want you to get, like the lesson is that not everyone has insurance that covers like a psychiatrist or something, or the funds that you can pay out of pocket to go talk to someone to seek that help. I'm blessed in that situation where that stuff's covered for me. I'm able to cover it and do it on a regular basis where even though it's not even on a regular basis, like a once a week basis is not even for me enough. I still got to do these video blogs. Like maybe for you, you could do some video blog, just that you get it out of you, so it's not like inside of you, like sucking your insides out. And so, like with that said, I just want to talk about like some crazy things I've been thinking about, like, and that's why it's Coffee Time Gone Bananas, because rather than like affect like all these other new relationships and interactions I'm having with like other people, with the exception that now it is on YouTube for the whole world to be affected by, like at least I'm not like out, actively muddying things up during those interactions. Like I can just kind of try to mainstream as a normal guy, not causing no problems or nothing. It's just me and the camera right now. And then of course fucking crazy YouTube. So, on to going bananas. I think we're in the middle of World War III and no one's told us yet. Like, when they said on Facebook, like, the revolution will not be televised, like, I took that shit literal. Okay, A, how the fuck, 3 months ago, at the same time, like, people are like, the revolution will not be televised, everyone's acting strange, how is it all of a sudden acceptable in this Oviedo Park around here that everyone is flying fucking these drones? Like, I'm talking high-tech drones that go like 0 to 150 in like 2 seconds. Like crazy shit that they're out on the porch. I mean, I'm out on the porch. They're out on the grass. And that shit can zoom like right over. Like, this drone is fast. Like, I don't know if it's got like some nitrous oxide in it, nitro, like what these things are being fueled by. And like, what's the agenda of these drones? Like, are they measuring some shit in the air? Are they taking aerial views and shots of like, you know, are they patrolling to see like, you know, who's in the area? But it's a lot of people. Now, for Homeland Security, I say to myself, like, that's not acceptable for Homeland Security all of a sudden. Like, regular civilians are flying like drones on a regular basis. And like, this all started at the same time as that San Bernardino attacks at that disabled center for the disabled out in, what was it, San Diego or somewhere in California 3 months ago. And that was about the same time that I noticed a significant increase in like drones flying. Now, I have mental illness, so this is going to put me on alert. You know, I'm going to be on high alert mode. Like, what's going on? I'm watching, you know, the media. Already know, like, what do you trust that the media is reporting? What are they not reporting? They're reporting that there was an attack. Is that to like in a subtle way let you know even some crazier shit's going on, but they can't tell you about the really crazy shit because then it causes mass panic. Now all of a sudden everyone's flying drones. Like, and then if you trust that the people flying the drones, and that these drones are being flown by like the right hands and good hands, then you say to yourself, or I say to myself, like, if it's so prominent, like so much of this, like, at what point, how do you distinguish like when the drones are in the wrong hands? Like, we are now entering like a new phase of society, like if flying drones in public parks, which would have been previously unacceptable as far as Homeland Security, now you got 5 people at a time, which is a lot to be flying like these high-tech drones. Like, how do you know when that one person is flying a drone that's like up to no good, that's maybe got the capabilities of doing like a biochemical attack on people and shit? Or what are they doing? What are these drones measuring? Like, these are not drones bought from Toys R Us. Like, I'm talking, they've got like some serious high-tech shit in the park, and I'm just like, you know, it causes questions. And, you know, questions cause anxiety when you don't have the answers. And like, movies have documented this kind of phenomenon. Like, that I know I keep going back to M. Night Shyamalan and the movie The Happening, but like, the theme of that was when communication was disrupted, and then because no one knows the ass from their face or their face from their tail, like, causes paranoia because you can tell something's up, but it's a telephone game. No one really has any exact story because there has been a disruption in communication. Like, things are being withheld from you, and basically a revolution or a quote-unquote takeover could be happening in front of your eyes, like a takeover of government. And like, how do you even know? Because no one is saying anything. You know, we're in an age of digital like communication and digital broadcast, and like everything's gone digital. Now, it's a blessing. We've got like comedy, like Jimmy Fallon does, you know, comedy spoofing on politicians. But if they can have like a robotic cartoon that looks like the real human version of President Obama and like make his mouth look like he's saying one thing, like what does that tell you? That tells you they have the capabilities to put an image of President Obama that looks like the human version of President Obama on TV, and you know that is a comedic spoof. But then when like he's really giving a speech, how do you know it's not his clone or the cartoon version made to look like the human version of Obama? How do you know it's not digital? And then like unless you literally shook hands with Obama like at the White House in DC and you know he's alive and like really, America hasn't been taken over or some shit, like unless you were there and actually saw him, like how do you know that whatever you're seeing on TV is real and not like some digital creation of something that looks exactly like the real Obama? Or was Obama even ever real? Like you begin to wonder, like there are so many lies and so much illusion and brainwashing at this point. Like at what point did the lies start and the truth ended? And like that, tangled web, like how do you find your way out? And in a situation where the environment is